wonderful being, liminal spaces. No matter if you had a creepypasta face as a kid like me, or just indulged into creepy content to feel something sometimes, chances are that you came across the topic of liminal spaces. For those who haven't, the short definition is, look at those pictures. What are you feeling? And the long definition is, liminal spaces are a location which is a transition between two other locations or a state of being. Typically these are abundant or oftentimes empty, yada yada yada. This makes it feel frozen and slightly unsettling, but also familiar to our minds, with the key values being nostalgia, familiarity, and discomfort. Now if you look at these pictures and all you feel is happiness, I do not know how to help you. And in all honesty, a lot of pics really aren't doing it for me and I don't feel anything. But those who make me feel something, oh boy, they hit hard. And that's why I thought to myself, can I recreate that? I mean, most liminal space photos are either 3D art or heavily edited anyway. Hope that didn't destroy anyone's fantasy. And being an aspiring artist myself, it should be possible. Hopefully. But then I looked at the calendar and realized that I only had 2 work days of time for this project, excluding the video editing. So I threw that idea away. Just kidding, why have a work-life balance when you can also just work, right? We're here for the grind, boys! So I brainstormed a bit what kind of photos would be cool to do, and I ended up deciding on 2 ideas. That should be doable within 2 days. First, a hotelish hallway. It definitely is a transition point, nostalgia for a lot of people, and long hallways are always kind of suspicious. The second idea is a pool. A pool? Yes, a pool. I know it can be argued about how much that fits, but I cannot even describe you how much I feel whenever I see pictures like this. Or this. It's like a full body reaction sometimes, it's so uncomfortable. Now imagine being able to create something yourself that affects you that much. That's the kind of power play I'm looking for. So now, after the century of an intro, let's get started. I start off by modeling a rough block out of the hallway and provisionally placing the camera to get a vague idea of everything, to then delete most of it. One way of making something feel uncanny is by repetition, so the plan is to make a long repeating hallway, and since every segment will be the same, we only need to model one of them and then duplicate it. Normally I would recommend to plan everything beforehand and search for inspiration and reference pictures, but because time isn't really in our favor right now, I will just go with the flow. Luckily, liminal space photos are mostly rather simple structure and detail-wise. After blocking out the hallway part, it's time to block out the furniture. Won't be anything special though, it's pretty basic hotel attire. That's because most photos source their impact from the atmosphere, taking, for example, a minimalistic environment but giving it that special As soon as the blockout is done, I finish the modeling and create the UVs. For everyone who doesn't know what UVs are, they are basically the wrapping foil of a chocolate Santa Claus. It gives the chocolate its print, or you could say its texture, but when unwrapped you can see that it's just a flat square. Textures for 3D objects are also flat squares, so you have to unwrap the surface of an object, just like the chocolate Santa Claus. These quick UVs will work for what we need. Texturing can sometimes feel a bit like trial and error, that's why it's especially important to have reference at hand. Once you decide on a base material, everything else will come along naturally. And this is how all the textures look together. Not rendered yet, of course. Now that everything is textured, I can duplicate the segments. I actually made 3 texture versions with differences in case it would be too obvious that everything is duplicated, but I ended up not needing it because it was too dark to tell a difference anyway. This should work as our hallway, therefore let's place the camera. The goal was to get a camera view that looks ominous, but not too cinematographic. It should look like it's a casual photo your everyday person could take. With having the camera placed, it's still not ready to render though, since there are no lights, so everything would turn out dark. Let's place some of them. I noticed that most liminal space photos, apart from being rather dark, have the light source either behind the camera or on the camera, like a flashlight or flash photography. That's why I opted for that. And it also helps to gain the creepy atmosphere. And the rendered image looks like this. There is potential, but there's also a lot to improve, therefore let's throw it into editing and see what we can do. First I made some minor changes, like for example this wall. I didn't like how it lined up with the door, so I made it thicker. Most importantly though, I removed the noise. Don't get me wrong, liminal space photos always have noise, but it's a different kind of noise. It's the "it was way too dark when I took that picture and I took it with a toaster" kind of noise. This noise is just sparks and fireflies because I didn't render the cleanest and had some lighting issues. But out of experience I can tell you, for this project it's faster to edit the noise out instead of trying to fix it, since we don't need a high quality image anyway. So after all of that, it's time for the lighting edit. There's not much more to say than I made it darker and more like a flashlight kind of light. Oh, and I get rid of that unnecessary part of the white wall to the right. Next are the colors. It being a little more colorful strengthens the nostalgia and surreal feel. Some minor light changes again. And last off, the noise, so that the final image looks like this. Starting off the other picture by, you guessed it, the block out. Looking at other liminal pools, it's noticeable that there are oftentimes big open spaces or tunnels with dark corners without an exit. That's probably why they give off such an eerie feeling. It's like you're trapped with no exit inside. Or maybe it's something else? I don't know, it's hard to explain. After the modeling, we again need the UVs. And after those, I slapped the texture on it. The liminal pools which have the same overall texture are the creepiest to me, so let's go with that. I placed some lights and then realized that this is a pool, so it's supposed to have water. Therefore let's take care of that real quick. Because this will be a picture, not a video, it would be unnecessary to simulate water, since we can also just sculpt the plane into something that works. And after that and rendering, it looks like this. It's alright, but way too faded. Let's give it some color and edit the noise a bit, so that the final photo is this. And this, my friends, wraps up today's chapter. Thank you so much for watching. Did these pictures have an effect on you? Please let me know. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more of me. I wish you a wonderful day or night, depending on where you live, and see you next chapter. Bye!